weather forecast with the National Weather Service's Landon Aydlett. Good morning, Landon.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all doing today?
We're doing okay.
It sounds like
Interesting,
a busy morning over there.
Yeah, it is. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a busy morning over here too. We have a lot of weather to talk about, but
Ooh.
let me get back to the CDC right quick. When the CDC went out yesterday, my first thought was when they said abandon travel to Guam, I'm thinking Star Trek 4. Y'all any Trekkies over there by any chance?
I watch Star Trek, but I also watch Star Wars. I like all of that sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, one of these probes came over to planet Earth and started causing all these environmental problems, if not a virus, but it was all weather and environment. And it said, avoid Earth and all travel to Earth. But with the crew, you're always in good hands. So, yeah, back to the weather. It's actually a pretty busy morning over there, or over here in the region. We have this surface circulation passing right over us this morning. I'm going to show you that right quick. A lot of times people think the world spins around Guam, but today it does, because you look at that. We have this broad circulation right over top of Guam this morning. So you have the winds coming from the northeast and sweeping around to the south on our west, and then on to our east, the winds are coming from the south and up towards Rota. So you have this broad circulation right over Guam. So if we had a little bit more daylight, we could see that in the visible satellite imagery, because the circulation's right north of Retidian Point, going towards the southwest. So that's going to be passing through the area today. Spotty showers for us this morning, but we have a lot more showers and thunderstorms sitting off to our east. I'm going to get to that very shortly, because right now we're dealing with a tale of two different cities between Guam and Saipan weather. We do have high risk of rip currents for east-facing reefs of the Mariana Islands today. That's our only alert active at this time. That's a high risk of rip currents for east-facing reefs. So if you don't have to be swimming out there today, don't be out there on the waters. Stay in safer zones, like off of Tumon Bay, for example, if you're on Guam, or for Saipan, off of Garapan, off on the west-facing shores and reefs. That's where you want to be swimming today. As far as the weather going on, outside of the airport right now, we have northeast winds at 3 knots. So it's really not that bad this morning. Just some spotty showers here at Guam, but in Saipan, they are howling at 32 mile per hour sustained winds, with some showers and thunderstorms moving through the Saipan airport. They had wind gusts upwards of 39 knots. That's almost tropical storm force wind speeds right there, but those are just gusts, and that's just associated with those strongest showers pushing by. I do have some video coming from Glenn Polycare at Saipan. This is this morning. I'm going to turn you around right quick. There you go. This is just a few moments ago in Saipan, and notice those trees are just whipping by. Whoa. This is the scene this morning in Saipan. For us, we're on the weaker side of that circulation as it's moving towards the west-southwest. So the lighter winds are over Guam, but then the winds pick up to the north of that circulation. And that's the scene today, because we're going to show you the satellite picture. This is the wind speeds measured overnight. So you have Guam right there in the lighter winds, but up to the north where you see the greens and the different colors, those are the stronger winds up over Saipan and Tinian. And then another satellite pass. These are polar orbiting satellites. These yellows and oranges, those are 20, 25, 30 knot sustained winds over there farther to the east. Will we see those winds over Guam and Rota? Probably not. That's going to stay off to the north, and they're probably feeling the brunt of that right now as it sweeps by to the north of us. But once this trough passes by, we're going to see some stronger winds come up from the southeast. Oh, so there's our trough axis right there, just east of the islands overnight. It's moving over the islands right now. And as it moves west, the winds are going to shift over Guam from the northeast and pick up from the southeast and increase in intensity, probably about 15 to 20 knots sustains. So the weather forecast for today is spotty showers for Guam and Rota, but those showers are going to build in as we go through the afternoon and evening hours, because we have this mass of clouds and showers sitting to our east. That's all going to come over us tonight. I'm going to flip to the infrared where we have more data overnight. This is where the weather is right now. So the colors, the lavenders, the blues, that's heavy showers and thunderstorms, the deep convection going high up into the atmosphere. So the deeper the convection, the higher those clouds are. And that's where your thunders and showers and thunderstorms are. Once that moves over us, we're going to see heavier showers tonight. They're already getting that action up there in Saipan and Tinian. That's where those strong winds are. Looking at the balloon sounding last night, it's not too impressive with our winds over the surface. And what I talk about over the surface, that's like in the 5,000 feet overhead. When you have those stronger winds aloft in the lower several thousand feet of the atmosphere, heavy showers can help push those wind gusts to the surface. And that's what they're seeing in Saipan and Tinian this morning. We don't have too much gust factor right now in the atmosphere over Guam. But once this trough axis shifts to the west, we're going to see those stronger winds from the southeast, and then we can see some gustier winds overnight. So what do we expect in the week ahead? Much drier. We're going to have the showers tonight. They're going to start tapering through Tuesday, and then we have a drier midweek. So Thanksgiving looks much better than it does today and tonight. It's going to be a little bit breezy out there, but it's more of a trade wind flow as we go towards Thanksgiving. But we do have another circulation or another surface trough that will be pushing our way towards the coming weekend, the first as we approach December. Are the tropics done for the year? Well, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, we're currently watching no activity at this time. There's no suspect areas across the region. That's the good news. But we are still coming up through Thanksgiving and through December, and some of our most notorious typhoons have been later in the year. Typhoon Pangsawa and some other notorious storms that have occurred. Yeah, so don't let your guard down, even though we don't expect much activity because of our ongoing climate pattern. It's been pretty status quo, not bad across the region. All that tropical weather's been to our west and our north. That's the good news for us, but it's never a bad idea to keep your guard up and keep your eyes off to our east in case anything develops. And so, like I said, we do have that disturbance or a surface trough that will push our way in the coming weekend that will give us more showers and thunderstorms, probably by Saturday and Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Hey, Landon, it's Jace here, man. Thanks as always, for your information and everything. Really, really cool. I mean, we've learned so much about, just about weather systems and the way you guys, forecast and predict. I'm actually looking on Twitter right now, and there are some young people who are actually asking, and they said, a lot of people I know that get into the NWS come from military backgrounds because, that is a big part of, especially our friends up in the Air Force. But you are someone who actually went to school to do this kind of work, right? You're a proud grad of NC State.
Go Wolfpack. North Carolina State University, and I actually keep my diploma up here on the wall.
I'm surprised you haven't got like Wolfpack gear and everything that you're rocking all over the place.
That's all back home. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so for people that are wondering if they would like to get into this, if they are considering this kind of career path and everything like that, what kind of skills do they have to have? I mean, obviously you're really good with like data analysis. You're good with map reading and everything like that. What kind of background should one have, and then what could they expect if you want to like pursue this academically?
Well, definitely you need to have those skills in math and science because that's where the basis of meteorological education is found. It's in the thermodynamics of the atmosphere, how it all works, how it culminates together. And so if you want to be in like an operational forecaster like I am, you definitely have to get that 4-year bachelor's degree in meteorology. And you can get that at universities like North Carolina State University, Florida State, Oklahoma State. But they don't have that at University of Guam. So if you're local and you want to go for a degree in meteorology, you can start at University of Guam, take out your basic courses, get that first 1 or 2 years of classwork done here at University of Guam, and then transfer somewhere like University of Hawaii or NC State. Those are both great, fantastic schools for tropical weather. You can go into the research side of things if you really like the more mathematical and scientific details and the thermodynamics. I'm not much of a math and science guy, and actually that was my weakest point through college. But yeah, here I am in the weather service. Because I powered through it, and that's what you have to do.
Well, you did mention Oklahoma State, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which I'm sure Sabrina's never going to acknowledge because she's from OU. So she would probably.
I'll acknowledge them. Program. They just lost to OU yesterday. There you go.
How's that for acknowledgement? In Bedlam, all right. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
OU's
know,
got a fantastic program,
so
especially in storm chasing. So if you like the adrenaline rush,
Hmm.
OU's storm chasing program, that's where you want to
Yeah.
be.
In the at the station I used to work for in Oklahoma City, well,
Ooh.
actually in Oklahoma, period, storm chasing is pretty big. It's a pretty big deal over there because of
Yeah,
the tornadoes. So,
before I came to Guam, I was in Oklahoma City with my last job, but I was there for about 5 weeks, and that was where I saw my first tornado. So we had this line of tornadoes, and we are expecting that outbreak.
hmm.
And so when the sirens started going off, it was my first time experiencing those. I'm on the OU's campus, so the sirens start going off, people start running for cover, and I'm looking for the
Yeah.
tallest parking garage that I can get up on the
Go.
top level. And I'm on the seventh story of the stadium parking garage, and I'm looking to see the funnel clouds start developing just south of campus,
Hmm.
near where my office was. So I watched that tornado touch down and move out of the city. It was the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. And then I took a friend of mine. She gave me her car and said, "Go chase it." So I went over there and followed it for a couple hours, and the damage and destruction that was following that, what became an EF4 tornado,
Wow.
was mind blowing to see that in person.
Yeah.
So things go from pleasant and nice to destructive so
Yeah.
rapidly in those situations. Here, I'd much rather deal with a hurricane or a typhoon
Hmm.
because you see those coming in days ahead of time so you can prepare. But a tornado, you know there's going to be an outbreak of the possibility of tornadoes, and it's like, okay, is it going to be your neighbor's house or is it going to be your house?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and you're right because when I can't remember what year it was, but in where I lived, or my parents' house, the entire neighborhood, there was a half of it where the tornado rolled through. So if you just go down a couple
yeah,
blocks from my parents' house, neighborhoods were wiped out. Where as opposed to my parents' house, it was still intact. So it's kind of
yeah,
it's really crazy how you see things like that, and it could have been my parents' house. So even when I
yeah. It's that easy.
yeah, and that
And for us, we're fortunate because all of our walls, our exterior walls, and most of our interior walls are reinforced concrete. So we hunker down and we stay put, and we can handle some of the worst that nature throws our way if you're prepared for it. And
mhm,
so that's where we, as an island, we're very fortunate to have these building codes in place because when we have those threats of a category 1, 2, 3, or 4 storm, there's concern, but you don't have the fear for your life and you don't have to have that high level of stress because we are reasonably safe and secure
yeah.
against those threats.
My first typhoon on Guam was Paka. And
Mm-hmm.
coming from Oklahoma, I understood what it's like to go through a typhoon, but when Paka happened, I didn't know what to expect, and that was just so devastating and so sad, and it was around the holidays too, and so I had to have to go
Yeah.
out and cover the story and seeing the damage and just parts of the island just flatlined, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like for people that experience storms like that in the region, that's where I got my interest in weather. I think it was the superstorm of 1993. If
Mm-hmm.
you ever have a chance, go look that up. March 1993 superstorm, and that was a eastern, basically the entire eastern coast of the United States was affected by the strong nor'easter type event that came out of the Gulf Coast and then up the Atlantic coast and strengthened. It wrecked the eastern seaboard, and seeing the trees fall in our yard, and then we had to put on our helmets and get in the closet and hunker down overnight because we had trees falling all around our house. I was fascinated by it. It was
Wow.
eye-opening, and I wanted to learn more about weather and how things can go from calm and fair to destructive and violent so quickly. How to get more involved with that and experience it more. That's one reason why my brother and I, we came over to Guam, because we knew that Guam is Typhoon Alley, and we wanted to get more of that experience and see some of the nature at work. Fortunately, for the island, it's been pretty slow. We've had some of our slowest years in, I think, 2010, 11, and 12, and then also this year's been pretty slow. So that's not entirely all bad for the island.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it's been slow. Knock on wood, right? Because Even for Saipan with U2, that was.
Yeah.
How did you guys communicate with Saipan during U2? Because there's no National Weather Service right on the ground over there.
Yeah, we are the weather service for all of the Mariana Islands and all of Micronesia. So we do forecasts and observations for Palau, the Federated States, and also the Marshall Islands. Fortunately for Saipan, their communications were up and running for the most part. So our office was communicating with them by email and also Facebook. So we had phone calls coming in from people as their houses were literally ripping apart from around them. If you have like a wood roof, or wood and tin, those will not do well in such situations. And we had phone calls coming in, people hunkered down together in an interior room, and you can hear the sounds of breaking things and glass peeling apart around them. So that was one night of hell for them. And so that's the worst case scenario. As much as I like a good storm, to be looking at a Category 5 or a 4 typhoon coming towards us, it'll give you strange feelings. That's all I can say.
Did you get a chance?
But that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to go to Saipan to see the damage yourself?
Yeah, Chip Guard and Mark Lander went up there immediately after the storm for the forensic analysis to do the post-storm damage reporting and analyzing the damage and debris trail. I went up there. Let's see, it was 2018 October. I was up there, I think, the following February, just 5 months after the fact. And I was up there for a conference. And to see the damage up there, the north, you could tell there was a storm that had come through and they were recovering fairly well. But once you get south of Garapan, the damage was incredible. 5 months after the storm, and it looked like the storm had just come through the previous day. Power was widespread outages. Even when I was there earlier this year, people are still living in tents. There's still tents. I think there's a school on the south side that was operating primarily out of FEMA or military tents, and that was near the airport. So the damage was significant, and the repairs are continuing, whether it's infrastructure or personal household structures. So those events will set you back a number of years just in the recovery. And then to get back to what you would consider normal could take anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And so, yeah, that's a worst case scenario.
That's kind of still, I mean, even till this day, and it's there's still people living in tents. That's really sad to hear.
Yeah. I know when COVID was starting to spin up earlier this year, my biggest concern was setting up tent and field hospitals because of any threat of storms. And so we in the Marianas, we've been so fortunate to have a slow year, to have a La Nina type pattern over our region, that it's kept all that activity minimized across our region so that we can focus on the COVID response and keep people safe, at least from the weather side of things.
Yeah. Well, Landon, I really do appreciate your time and chatting it up with me as I was locked in here myself.
Oh, wait, so you guys did share that story?
No, I didn't. But
oh, okay.
What's going on?
Yeah, okay. Can we please inform our audience of why the weather today was a tad longer than...
What do you guys do, weather for the year?
Okay, so, and Landon doesn't even... Okay, Landon, so...
I don't know if you heard all the banging.
So Chris had to go outside and interviewed that gentleman who had a story to tell from a socially responsible distance, of course. So he interviewed him on his phone. I stepped out. The door closes to the FM studio behind us, and then locks, and then the bolt breaks. So DJ Joser, who happens to carry his Leatherman, you know, the Swiss Army knife of Swiss Army knife. There you go. Put it on camera, Joe. Let's go see that.
Filipino ingenuity right there, sir.
Seriously, man. Let's go see that bad. Look at that.
You ever look at a guy like, why is he going around with that Leatherman? He's never going to need that. Well, that's why.
So DJ Joser disassembled the lock. I mean, Chris and I were about to break down the...
No, Jason was. Jason was like, let me get it. I'll kick it down. Like, I want to see this. Let me move back.
You know, I mean, I'm so skinny, I could probably fit through the crack in the door. Chris was going to swing his belly around and break
Anyway,
the door
guys,
down.
we're really behind, so we got to go. We got to take a break. Thank you, Landon.
Thanks, Landon.
Appreciate it, man.
Wow, man. Thanks for coming through.
At least we know you can go the distance. We might get
Y'all
you
have a great day.
Might get you your own show
we're gonna
on
try.
here. Okay, bye. Well, it's all downhill from here. Good morning,
Wow.
7:15 again. This is the
Wow.
Link on the Breeze 93.9. We'll be back with more of the show next.
The holidays are almost here, and we could all use an extra dose of cheer and joy this year. So